Hello and welcome back to another Lower Decks review, where today my microphone is in frame. Well, it's right in front of the art, isn't it? Dang it. Look, I need to buy a proper desk. But today, uh where was I? Oh yes, I think I'm just getting over a sickness. I've been sick recently. So that probably just explains the slight disorder of everything. And hopefully this doesn't get cut short. I think I can do the review. But it doesn't matter because we're back with Lower Decks, as you could see. Hang on. No, yeah, I can't do anything about that. The best of the Star Treks. I mean, yes, finally, we're back. We've actually come full circle. Lower Decks Season 2 was the first one of these reviews I ever did. And we've done it. We've done full circle, a full loop of all the series except the worst one. And yeah, a lot has changed since we last sat here for the ending of Strange New Worlds. Not this corner of the room. Some of those boxes are different. Basically every part of the room except this has changed. But hey, we're here. Yes, Lower Deck Season 3 Episode 1, Grounded, which is, I think I've said since my review at the end of Season 2, I would expect is the episode where basically they go to break Freeman out of jail, only to arrive at the very end to them releasing Freeman, the Admiralty and stuff, like, oh, we're so sorry, yada yada, you're free to go because it's the Federation justice system, and it just, I due process and all that. But maybe I'll be wrong. There'll be plenty of things to look forward to in Season 3. I know we've got Deep Space Nine stuff. They're returning characters. Don't know who, don't want to know who until they actually show up. And yeah, who knows if any of that'll be this episode. I'd expect not. I'd expect you wouldn't do like your Deep Space Nine episode as the season opener. When you're doing the overarching plot thing, with Freeman and the Pakleds and all that. But hey, let's just get straight into it. I mean, I can't claim that I nailed it, but I think the core elements were there of what that episode was gonna be. Unfortunately, I think the predictability of it, at least for me, that like from the end of Season 2, I was like, alright, this is how it's gonna end. This one's gonna start, isn't it? Did bring it down a little bit. And I felt something, weirdly enough, I don't remember for the last two seasons, similar to when I started TAS for the first time after ending the original series, was that it going from the long episodes of Strange New Worlds, Picard, did we do Discovery as well? I think we did Discovery. Yeah, Discovery too. Going back down to the half hour, it felt like a little bit of a whiplash thing, like, oh, this is like, well, my dog's eating a chew toy now. Why that one? Why the squeaky one? Yeah, just the half hour. How long was this one actually? 23 minutes. Yeah, like the low 20-minute episode times, just compared to, the more closer to an hour ones, made it feel kind of rushed in comparison. Which is weird. I'll probably watch some of the old Lower Decks episodes just to reacclimatize myself. But other than that, no, I think that was a pretty good episode. You had a surprising number of cameos, if you count Tuvok, as well. The Zephram Cochrane one was a lovely, pleasant surprise. I thought for sure when they were sneaking into the transporter thing, and Rutherford was like, careful, I've heard this guy's like an old Starfleet veteran. I was like, oh my god, it's O'Brien, isn't it? Like, I know we became a chief engineer and stuff, but like, if Lower Decks ever brought back O'Brien properly, like, not a statue of O'Brien, it would be like, oh, he's gone back to like his love, the transporter room or whatever. I still enjoy these depictions of Starfleet security. I've leaned into it more in the modern era of, I mean, Classic had it too, but like, we never took it seriously, of Starfleet security just being bad, like actually in universe, not just a weird writing thing, but like the lovey, science lovey, utopian sort of security, but without making them incompetent. making them optimistic, naive maybe, I'll say, making them a little naive, but not incompetent, where, there were a few others, but the security guys on the Cerritos were like, oh, we love this, people getting into science, whatever, even though, yeah, they stole a ship from a military compound. But then they're still like, we just need to know the commander who authorized this. Because, they're still get the paperwork in. This episode was pretty self-contained, surprisingly, actually, so I'm struggling to think of things that aren't more scene-by-scene stuff. I'm also, 6 weeks out of practice doing these reviews. But, Lower Decks, again, did a pretty good job of weaving its sort of comedy stories. God dang it, I need my own recording room. This dog keeps bumping the camera. But it did a good job of weaving, its story, comedy, fun, yada yada. Put Bozeman, the first contact music in, I don't know, Gavin, all that stuff in with actual, character development and meaning. This was that comedy episode. The over-the-top heist thing, but which was very over-the-top. I'll get into that. There's one. But it also, it was an episode about, not Freeman, Mariner, and how she cares for her mom, and the length she'll go to protect her, to help her, how much she hates feeling useless, like she couldn't have done anything. And especially, it's pretty self-explanatory at the end. You set up the thing with Ransom as well, so, there's season set up, but, no, it was another kind of classic interweaving that Lower Decks has done so well traditionally. I got, sort of Star Trek 4 vibes, the one with the whales. Kirk goes back in time, right, and he just stumbles upon the whales in the marina, whatever, and he's fixated on these whales. He even says I could go out to the open ocean and get them, but I want your whales. And it felt very much like that when in the transporter room, when it was oh, you'd have to take a ship into orbit, and then they stumble across this Phoenix recreation, and the Mariner's oh, that's the way to orbit. I'm is it? You can get there were shuttles outside this transporter place, that you might have been able to take. I'm sure this Earth has plenty of ways to get into orbit, but no, the Phoenix amusement ride, that's the clear way we're gonna get to orbit. I don't know, in a weird twist, I think I'm gonna go straight into the scene by scene already, because, it's Lower Decks. Lower Decks is generally more about those, moments, I suppose, in the sort of scene by scene quick things than some overarching or deep analysis. And also, I'm a bit sick. That might have something to do with it. But hey, let's just see what a scene by scene does. So my memory, my comments. In Strange New Worlds, I very heavily criticized the previously on segments for an episodic show. I don't like them in general, I discussed, but what previously ons do, in general, you could write them good. Better, but they give you a sense of what the episode is going to be. And often a previously on, especially if you're doing it in a binge, is a next time on. This time, here's what you're gonna see. And it's basically a bunch of spoilers before the episodes. They highlight some random line from ages ago, and you go, oh, I guess that was important. Where otherwise it might have been a nice twist or something going back. They bring up a plot point from 3 episodes ago, and you go, oh, I guess we're addressing this plot point. I'd like to point out to Strange New Worlds, this is a stealth previously on. This is a creatively interesting previously on. It's still exposition by news. Isn't that one of the classic cinema sins, news position? But at least it's more than previously on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And this was one where, a refresher's probably not the worst thing. Really, I guess there wasn't much, there wasn't really anything you needed to remember beyond Freeman was arrested for blowing up the Pac-Led planet. Because I was debating, I was wanting to do a watch through of the last 2 seasons, because it's 6 hours, Lower Decks. But I just never got around to it with the illness and work. But I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna get our previously on, but more naturally introduced. News position, yes, but again, it's better than the Strange New Worlds previously on, and even if the previously on is written in such a way that it doesn't tell you anything about the episode that's about to happen, it still gives the viewer the impression that they now have an idea of what's going to happen, which can be just as bad, even if the viewer's completely wrong. Alright, as I promised in my trailer analysis, 6-year-old someone, youngest to be crowned as Stratagem Grandmaster. There were a lot of those real small references that, like, this is just something in the Star Trek universe, Stratagem being one of them. I can't remember others off the top of my head, but I'm sure we'll get to them. Country Stampede. Dozen teens injured. Rushing stage of Sony Clemens concert? That's a bit weird for like a Earth. I guess some mosh pit thing? I guess more interesting. You know what? Actually, Starfleet families have been a thing for a long time. I'm only just clocking that now. But I got the vague impression that, like, the Freeman, Mariner, whatever the Admiral's last name is, like, apparently Starfleet is just run by that family. That's why they all have to change their names, you know, so no one realizes that there's actually some sort of dynasty controlling Star Trek from the inside. You know, a bit of a missed opportunity too, pointing out how useless the Golden Gate Bridge is, because it's not technically useless. They put solar panels on the road now. But as I've commented before, I can't imagine that's doing much. I don't know, actually, if San Francisco, what its climate is like in terms of, like, how many days of the year is it sunny. I mean, it's California, which in my mind is a sunny, hot place, but also, they're gonna be, like, on the other side of the Rockies, so usually that's overcast? I'm not sure. But even then, like, you have antimatter matter reactors, like, you gotta be using so much power for your replicators and stuff. How much are those solar panels really doing? Look, Lower Decks needs at least a full 7-season run, because we just have to see how far this is gonna go. I mean, why ever stop? That'll be when Lower Decks stops, is when you literally can't add anything else. Who's it? The Dominion is next, I guess? Like, Cardassia? I don't know. I gotta throw someone up there. The Boimler vineyard stuff. I like the joke that, you know, it's raisins and not wine. I mean, it was in the trailer, but the bit that my water bottle's blocking with, like, all the girls being, I'm sure there's a word for it, I'm too ignorant to know. Basically, the ways the girls behaved, of, like, so focused on Boimler, I was alright with it. Like, it was kind of out of, well, until, right? There's going to be an until there. But it still felt kind of, like, out of place, weird. I would have preferred it wasn't there. If you remember, the only episode of Lower Decks I haven't liked is Mugatu Gumato, the super sexy one. There have been others I haven't gravitated toward as much. Envoys, I think this is another one that just, for me, was a little bit below what I would have liked. But I was like, okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with Boimler having people want to be with him, but, like, it kind of escalated. And then the last one where the lady was just like, help me get naked, I'm like, you've definitely gone too far at this point. Like, I was gonna let it slide by, but no, it was just weird. It didn't add anything, it didn't belong. It was a treatment of women that it belongs in, like, the mid-2000s. Well, it didn't belong in the mid-2000s, but it's from the mid-2000s. Especially on, like, an Earth utopian Star Trek thing, it was just weird. Meanwhile, I was still trying to figure out if O'Brien would look like that at this point in the timeline. He's even kind of got O'Brien's World War II jacket from the holodeck thing he did with Bashir. Was it 2 or 1? I don't remember. But I thought for sure that was gonna be O'Brien. I've also just seen, is that an original series transporter pad in the background? Because it's got, like, the red carpet. I don't remember if the bump's on the top or the bottom for TOS, though. You know, for how incredibly detailed Lower Decks has been, I've just realized that statue's not quite the reaching up. I always remember Geordie's description wrong, but he's kind of reaching up towards the stars, isn't he? Is, like, the description that's given of the statue. This is more like a A. Maybe Geordie grandized it in his head, like he doesn't remember it correctly. But other than some starship-shaped balloons, Defiant, TOS Enterprise, I'm not seeing any other references immediately. Bozeman, Montana, you know, it's lovely to get a look at my future home. Of course, I live in Western Washington. I did have to orient myself. Pretty close to Bozeman, Montana, actually. I've never been. But of course I'll retire there a little before 2063, knowing that it'll survive World War III. Actually, I really do want to go with my partner in 2063 at the age of 63 to Bozeman, Montana. I don't know. I'm like, maybe I'll leave this general area of the world, but I'd imagine there's gotta be some sort of geriatric Star Trek party. I cannot accept that there won't be a collection of Trekkies on April 5th, 2063 in Bozeman, Montana. If you ever want to meet me, there's your best shot. Just Bozeman, Montana on First Contact Day. I'll look like this, but older. Significantly. Does kind of look like Montana-y, though. The nature and the background and stuff. Oh, and I've just remembered the music. Yeah, I mean, the First Contact... it's the First Contact music. Amazing. I loved... the celebration of Star Trek. Like, it doesn't lessen First Contact in any way, or the music. It's not making fun of it. It's teetering near juxtaposition, but even then, like, I don't know, Lower Decks is amazing at not making fun of Star Trek. Oh god, and the licensing rights for, like, both those old classic songs, I don't know how much they cost, but, like, well done, Lower Decks. That's why we didn't get O'Brien. But, well done on just sourcing those. I've just noticed the small detail that the Vulcan shuttle is in the same place it landed in the movie, like right next to that bar. I wonder if Rutherford's suggesting that this is the actual shuttle. It's now a slide thing. I don't know. I don't know. That might be the actual shuttle. Didn't we see it in a Vulcan museum though, as well? I can't remember. Yeah, getting Zephram Cochrane's voice actor back was amazing. I love little hologram Zephram, the amusement park rides. I was gonna say, when did they record those? But I guess the little amusement park messages. But I guess you could just use the hologram Cochrane. Like, they can clearly reconstruct his voice well enough. It's not like Zephram Cochrane sat down to record this holo of him. We finally got an answer to the long-time question: does Boimler actually have purple hair? Is his natural color? Oh god, I'd love it if the actual color of his hair is not a natural color either, or it's just like lavender and not purple. Did anyone else think that these guys, when they landed on the Cerritos, were gonna like re-add the titanium hull? The titanium? Because I think when they landed, Tindy or Rutherford, whoever, was like, they're secreting carbon something something onto the hull. And so I'm like, oh, they're gonna, like, recoat the Cerritos, they're gonna basically do it for free, take advantage of this. And then that's what Tindy was gonna run up and say, like, they were replating the Cerritos, and they'd probably get some commendation rather than punished for not replating it for free in the money sense, but, like, time, effort, materials, energy, that sort of sense. But then they didn't, which felt really weird to me. I guess just studying them, that works as well. You don't quite get the same ending if they replate the Cerritos for free, but it felt like there's a connection there. I guess the hulls aren't made of carbon something whatever.
And scraping carbon off the carbon filter.
Ooh, those are the worst jobs on the ship. Scraping carbon off of slightly harder carbon.
It felt like a weird thing that never came anywhere, and that never went anywhere. Like, that they were depositing a bunch of carbon stuff. I guess it was like their eggs, gametes, their sperm then, I suppose? Oh my goodness. But why carbon? Carbon is life? Like, it's like the life molecule? I don't know. The dog's trying to escape. Yes, this whole sequence was ludicrously over the top. I think that was the joke. So much so, I kept expecting Freeman to go like, no, of course not. They just found me innocent. We still don't know who blew up the planet. I'm noticing, though, this episode, it had a lot of ships that I own as Eaglemoss ships that were like background one-offs never see. There's this one. It's probably on the wall behind me. I'd get if this dog wasn't sleeping on me. It was the Federation, is it Attack Fighter, I think it's called? It's one of mine over there. Of like that the security arrived in. Yeah, I mean, you had loads of ships that exist anyway. The Akira comes to mind. There was a Olympic class, but I guess well done on the obscure ship usage. So is this what Tuvok does then now? He's some sort of like elite Starfleet security ops person? I mean, that works. I guess it's the way up from Voyager. He could have been away on a special mission, of course. Interesting seeing him in a Deep Space Nine uniform. I think most people call it the First Contact uniform. It's the Deep Space Nine uniform for me. At the same time, I suppose, especially not bringing his, Tim Russ back, it's a bit of like a here's just some Star Trek thing for the sake of it. But I mean, that's kind of Lower Decks, and I enjoyed it. It not that it's small world syndrome, you could say. I keep wanting to say arguably with so many other references in this show or characters. I guess you had Cisco's, which is a bit weird unless like Rutherford's from New Orleans or that area, but I don't think he is. But then I remember O'Brien wasn't actually in this episode. So you have Cochrane and Tuvok are the only like recurring characters. You can sort of count Cisco, but is like Grandpa Cisco, Joseph Cisco. Maybe that's also why they didn't have Jake presenting the Federation News Network thing. Oh, I also wondered for a time is we know we're going to Deep Space Nine, if maybe the video was like a founder or like a changeling disguised as Freeman. That's what brought us to Deep Space Nine eventually. Maybe that's a bit too serialized for Lower Decks. I mean, even when they do serialization with like these going from one season to another, they end it real quick. Boimler left the Titan real quick. This is resolved, I think. It does make me wonder if the Packlets are still going to be big villains, or if they're just kind of gone now, brushed aside. Because in interviews and stuff, the Packlets have been described as like the Klingons or the Dominion. They're the baddie of Lower Decks. You know, it's a comedy baddie because it's Lower Decks, but it's still filling that role. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have some sort of Ferengi to Borg transformation where the main villain changes. Maybe the Packlet joke just they thought they ran it dry. I don't know. James Cromwell, that was his name. The guy who plays Zephram Cochrane. First Contact onwards, and a lot of other roles. I don't know about a lot, actually. I think he's got at least 2 others. But, I just forgot his name. James Cromwell. Yeah, he plays, I think he plays, it's definitely a Deep Space Nine alien. I think it's the one who gets trapped in, like, a room on the Defiant with Quark when there's, like, the torpedo jabbed in it. The, like, really fair trader people. I think he plays that guy. And someone else. I can't remember. But anyway, lovely seeing him again. And yeah, this episode, you know, honestly, Lower Decks, as I said before, it's the best one. Prodigy is pretty close to being able to challenge it, but of the modern Star Treks, it's just the best. The other 3 don't come close. There's been episodes that just haven't stuck with me as much for whatever reason. It's a comedy. Could be as much to do with my mood today. Still getting over a sickness. This one was good, but for whatever reason, it just didn't quite hit that bar, I guess. It's a little bit below where I might expect a Lower Decks episode to be. I think maybe part of it is just not being used to the time, because it felt like it was really going through its story quickly, because it's not, you know, an hour-long show. So I'll watch the old episodes, you know, get caught up. Hopefully that'll help things. But hey, I mean, maybe sometimes it's the collection of jokes, it's the story, it's the fact I felt I knew what was gonna happen. Like, right from the beginning, when it was doing the whole, oh, trust in the system thing, I was like, oh yeah, they're doing that ending, aren't they? It was still pretty good. It definitely wasn't bad. In no way was that a bad episode of Lower Decks. But maybe just not some of the explosive heights. Uh-oh. That is my alarm for needing to go to work in an hour. So maybe not some of the explosive heights, but yeah, you know, it was good. It's a decent start to a season. I'm sure there'll be higher highs, what with Deep Space Nine and all that coming on. But hey, I guess we'll just have to wait, and I'll see you next time.